Hey everyone, I am going to teach you reinforcement learning with the help of a game. I am going to create a game and an agent, and I am going to teach the agent how to play the game using reinforcement learning. So I came up with this random game idea called Catch the Egg that you are seeing on the screen. You might have already figured out how the game works. First let me play this game manually. So like I said, I created this game using Pygame. Assume the little yellow rectangle at the bottom as a basket. I can control the basket using the keyboard. If I click the left arrow in the keyboard, the basket moves to the left, and if I click the right arrow, the basket moves to the right. And eggs will be dropped from the top at random positions. And if I catch an egg, my score increases by 1. You can see the score on the top right corner. And if I leave an egg, it's game over. So to continue playing the game, I shouldn't drop a single egg. Now, I created an agent and trained it to play this game using DeepQ learning, which combines reinforcement learning with neural networks for smart decision making. And this is how the result looks like. This is the agent playing the game, and I am not even touching the keyboard, and the agent learned how to catch the eggs. Now, I know that this is very simple game with simple rules, but it's perfect for easily understanding how reinforcement learning works and how to implement it. And I am impressed by how well it's working. As you can see on the screen, the agent has learned how to catch the eggs, and it isn't even dropping a single egg. Now, I left it running for a while to see how it's performing, and as you can see, the score is more than 3900 now. It's just fascinating to watch, and I'm astonished that we can achieve this with a small amount of code. Now I'm going to teach you how to create this game, how to create an agent, and how to train an agent. Now to train the agent, there are several concepts involved like deep Q learning, epsilon greedy policy to balance exploration and exploitation, and other things like this. I will explain in detail all these concepts while implementing them one by one on this game. Now for this you should be knowing how neural network works and PyTorch, or at least you should understand code written in PyTorch. And it's okay if you don't know Pygames, I will explain in detail how to create this step by step. Okay, let's start with what reinforcement learning is. Reinforcement learning is a type of machine learning where an agent learns to make decisions by interacting with its environment. The agent takes actions in different states of environment, receives rewards based on those actions, and aims to maximize its cumulative reward over time. Now, I have used several terms in it like agent, action, environment, reward, state, etc. Now, let's understand what all this is with a real world example. Now, let's say we want to teach a dog how to sit. Here, the dog will be the agent, and the environment can be a person talking to the dog. And let's define state as the word that the dog hears. Now, to teach the dog how to sit, whenever the person says sit, the dog might perform several actions. And whenever the dog sits, we will give a treat to the dog, which will be a reward to the dog. And we will perform this action for several number of times and keep on giving reward to the dog whenever it sits. And after some time, the dog will realize that whenever I hear sit, I need to sit to get the reward. So the dog learns how to sit, and whenever we say sit, the dog will sit expecting a reward. Now this is on top of how reinforcement learning works. We will encourage the right actions by giving some reward, and the wrong actions will be penalized, discouraging them. In the game also, whenever the agent catches the egg, we will give a positive number as a reward, encouraging the agent to catch all the eggs. And whenever the agent leaves an egg, we will give a negative number as a reward, which is like a punishment to the agent so that it won't leave any eggs. Now coming back to our game, here the environment is the game window itself, and here I defined the state as the movement of the basket and the position of the egg, and there are three actions involved in it: the basket moving to the right, the basket moving to the left, and the basket staying still. Now at first the agent performs a random action like moving basket to the right or left or staying still, and whenever the basket catches the egg, I will give a reward of 10 to the agent, and whenever the basket leaves the egg, I will give a reward of minus 10 to the agent. For example, let's say the egg is falling left to the basket and the agent perform an action of moving the basket to the left, and it catches the egg and it will receive a reward of 10. Now the agent will remember that whenever the egg is falling towards his left and I perform a left moving action, I am getting a reward. Like this we will keep on training this agent for several loops, and this is how the training process looks like. So we observe from the environment, we get the state of the environment and we pass it into a neural network. The neural network will output an action to perform. We perform this action in the environment and we will get a reward based on the action, and we will use this reward to update the weights of the neural network. Now actually we use two neural networks and not just one. I will explain in detail why two neural networks when we implement it, and there are other concepts involved like epsilon greedy approach. I'll explain one by one later. For now, this is on top of how the learning process is going to be. Now let's start with creating the game. Okay, first let's import pygame under random. So I'm going to say import pygame and import random. Now we need to initialize all the modules in the pygame. So I'm going to say pygame.init. This will initialize all the modules in the pygame. Now we need to create the window. First we have to define the width and height of the window. So I'm going to say width comma height equal to, I'm going to give you a width of 500 and a height of 600 to the window. Now let's create the window. So I'm going to say window equal to pygame dot display dot set mode, and I'm going to pass the width and the height. So this will create a window of width 500 and with the height 600. Now let's set the caption for our window. So I'm going to say pygame dot display dot set caption. I'm going to call catch the eggs. Now we need to run this game on a loop to see all the changes happening in the game. So I'm going to say running equal to true, and while running, so this game is going to run in an infinite loop, and we need to handle the events of this game. Now this step is very important because if we don't handle the events, the game will crash at any time. So I'm going to get all the events by saying for event in pygame dot event dot get. This will going to get all the events, and I'm going to say if the event dot type equal to pygame dot quit, I'm gonna say running equal to false. I will show you in a sec what this does, and I'm gonna say pygame dot quit. This will quit the program. Now let's run this. Now as soon as I run this code, this window is popping up. Now this is the game window with a width of 500 and a height of 600, and you can see the caption at the top left corner, catch the eggs. Now what's happening here is this program is going to run in an infinite loop until I click this close button, which is handled by this event. So when I click on this close button, it is considered as pygame.quit and the program ends. So when I close it, it is going to close. Let's run it again. The window is popping up and it is going to stay there until we click this close button. This is close button, it's working fine. Now let's understand how the coordinate works in this game window. Now let's assume this is a game window. The coordinate of the top left corner is going to be 0, 0, and I gave it a width of 500. So this length is going to be 500, and this top right corner's coordinate is going to be 500, 0, and I gave it a height of 600. So this length is going to be 600, and this coordinate is going to be 0, 600. And the bottom right coordinate is going to be 500, 600. Now we need to create our basket in this window. Now I'm going to create the basket by drawing a rectangle in this window, and to do this we need to define 4 things, which are basket width, the basket height, the basket x position, and the basket y position. Here the basket x position and basket y position are the coordinates of the top left corner of the rectangle. Now At the start of the each game, I want the basket to appear exactly at the middle of the screen, close to the bottom. So to get bx, I said width by 2 minus basket width by 2. So the width by 2 will give me exactly this point, and subtracting the half of the basket width from it will give me bx. And for the by, we know that the height of the window is h, and if we subtract the basket height from it, we will reach here. And I don't want the basket to be touching the bottom of the window, so I subtracted an extra of minus 10 to it. So the basket moves a little bit upwards and reach this point and will get by. Now the basket will float a little bit from the bottom of the window. Okay, now let's create the basket. So I'm gonna say basket. First let's define the width and height of the basket. So I'm gonna say basket width equal to, I'm gonna give it a width of 30, and basket height, I'm gonna give it a height of 50. Now basket x is going to be width by 2 minus basket width by 2, and basket y is going to be height minus basket height minus 10. Now let's create this basket. So I'm gonna say pygame dot ret, and I have to pass all this. First argument is going to be basket x, then basket y, then basket width, and basket height. Now what this is going to do is, it is going to create a rectangle with a width of basket width and a height of basket height, and its top left corner position is going to be basket x and basket y. Now let's draw this it in the window. So I am gonna say pygame dot draw dot rect. Now this draw dot rect is going to take 3 arguments. Where we going to draw it, what's its color going to be, and what are we drawing. So we are going to draw it in the window, and I'm going to give it a color yellow, and this has to be in RGB format. So I'm going to define the colors above here. So I'm gonna say colors, and then yellow equal to, I believe yellow color is 255, 255, 0. And what are we drawing? We are drawing this basket. I'm gonna say basket. Now let's see what happens if we run this. Now we don't actually see the basket here. That is because we are not rendering what are all we drawing in the window. So to render everything, we need to say pygame dot display dot flip. Now this is going to render everything that we are drawing in the window. Now let's run it again. Now you see that there is a yellow rectangle at the bottom, and it is exactly in the middle, and it is perfect. Okay, now we need to control the movement of this basket by pressing the left and right arrow keys in the keyboard. Now let's see how it's done. First we need to define the speed of the basket. So I'm going to say basket speed equal to, I'm going to give it a speed of 10. Now we need to know what key we are pressing in the keyboard. So to know that, I'm gonna say key is equal to pygame dot key dot get pressed. Now what this will do is, it will look for what are all the keys we are pressing in the keyboard, and if the key we are pressing is a left arrow key, which is keys of pygame dot k left, we need to shift the basket position towards the left. So we can do that by basket.x minus equal to basket speed. Now what this basket.x will give is the x position of the basket, which is basket x, and we are shifting this basket x towards the left by basket speed, which is 10. So the basket moves towards the left, and if the key pressed is right arrow key, which is pygame.k right, we need to shift the basket towards the right. So we can do that by saying basket.x plus equal to basket speed. Now let's see what happens if we run this now. Now I'm going to press the left arrow key and right arrow key, and some weird thing is going to happen in the window. See, I pressed the left arrow key, and now I'm going to press the right arrow key. Now, instead of the basket moving to the left and the right, we see a yellow strip at the bottom of the window. Now, what's happening here is, when I press the left or the right key in the keyboard, the basket is certainly moving to a new position, and we are drawing the basket in the new position. But we are not erasing the basket in the previous position. So, multiple baskets are drawn, and we are seeing it as a thick yellow line at the bottom of the window. So we can fix this by filling the window with a color each time the loop is running. So let's see how it's done. So we can fix this by saying window.fill black, and I need to define what the black color is. So I'm gonna say black equal to 0, 0, 0. And now what's going to happen is each time the loop is running, first we are filling the window with a black color, and then we are going to draw this rectangle like this. Now in the next loop, the window is going to be filled with black color, so the rectangle drawn at the previous position will be erased and a new rectangle will be drawn at the new position. Now let's see what happens if we run this. Now I am going to press the left arrow key. You see the basket is moved towards the left, but it moved so fast. Now I pressed the right arrow key. The basket did move toward the right, but it is very fast. Now we need to control the speed in which this game is running. Now the speed of this game is going to depend on which computer you are running, but we can control it using Pygame. Now let's see how it's done. So I'm going to say clock equal to pygame.time.clock, and what I'm going to do is clock.tick 30. Now what this is going to do is it is going to run the game in 30 frames per second so that the speed is controlled. Now let's see what happens if we run this. Now I'm going to press the left arrow key, the basket is moving towards the left, and I'm going to press the right arrow key, the basket is moving towards the right. And the movement of the basket is also smooth because we are controlling the speed in which the game is running, and it is running in 30 frames per second. Okay, now the movement of the basket is good, but if I keep on pressing the left arrow key, the basket will move out of the window, and if I keep on pressing the right arrow key, the basket will move out of the window in the right side. Now I don't want that. We can fix it by saying if we are pressing the left arrow key and the basket dot left is greater than 0, then only we move the basket to the left. Now what this basket dot left will give is the x coordinates of its left side, and the basket dot right will give the x coordinate of its right side. So I'm saying move the basket to the left only if the basket x is greater than 0, and only move the basket to the right if the basket dot right is less than the width of the window. Now let's see what happens. Now I am pressing the left arrow key and I keep on pressing the left arrow key now, but the basket is not moving towards the left because it will only move to the left if its left value is greater than 0, and if I keep on pressing the right arrow key, it will move towards the right and it stops because we have given the condition here. Now all the movement of the basket is working fine now. Okay, now let's just create the eggs now. So I'm gonna say eggs. Let's define the width and height of the eggs. So I'm gonna say egg width equal to, I'm gonna give it a width of 23, and egg height, I'm gonna give it a height of 35. Now I'm going to create a function that creates an egg and returns it, and I'm going to store these eggs in a list. So I'm gonna say def create egg, and the egg axis position is going to be random.randint 10 and width minus egg width minus 10, and xy position is going to be 0. Now let's understand why x and xy are these numbers. The x has to be dropped from the top from random positions. So I have given the y value as 0 so that the eggs start from the top, and I have given the x position of the egg a random number between 10 and width minus egg width minus 10. So what this random.randint will give is it will give a random integer from 10 and width minus egg width minus 10. So let's assume this is 10, and we know that up to here is the width, and width minus egg width will give this, and if we create egg here, the egg will come like this, and I don't want the egg to be touching the sides of the window, so I decreased an extra 10 from it so that egg shifts like this. So each time I run the function, It is going to create an egg with y position 0 means from top of the window and a random x position from here to here. Now let's create the egg and return it. So I'm gonna say return pygame dot rect and I need to pass all the parameter egg x, egg y, egg width and egg height. Now don't get confused, I am returning a rectangle here. The trick is later we will draw an ellipse in this rectangle to make it look like egg. Now let's create a list of eggs. So I'm gonna say x equal to an empty list and I'm going to create a single infinite. Create egg. Now what this will do is it is going to create me an egg and it is going to store it in this list. Now let's draw the egg in the window. So I am gonna say for egg in eggs pygame dot draw. Now this is the trick here. We are creating a rectangle for the position of the eggs and we have to draw it as an ellipse. So I'm gonna say ellipse so that it looks like an egg. We are drawing it in the window. I'm going to give it a color of white and we are drawing the egg. Now I need to define the color white. So I'm gonna say white equal to 255 comma 255 comma 255. Okay, now let's run this and see how it looks like. Okay, I am getting an egg at the top of the window with its y position 0 and its x position will be randomly chosen from 10 and width minus egg width minus 10. Okay, now let's run it again. We should be seeing the egg appearing in different position now. See here, let's do it one more time and the egg is now here. Okay, it's working fine now. Now we want the egg to be dropping from top to bottom. Now let's implement that. First let's define the speed of the egg. So I'm gonna say egg speed equal to 5 and before drawing everything I'm gonna say for egg in eggs egg dot y plus equal to egg speed. For all the eggs in the list of the eggs, I am going to increase their y position by x speed. After each loop, the x y position will be shifted by x speed which is 5 and we will see the egg dropping from top to bottom. Now let's run this. Now you can see the egg is dropping from top to bottom. Let's do it one more time. Now it's working fine, but as we move the basket towards the egg, it is passing through the basket. Now we don't want that. When the basket touches the egg, we want to consider it as the egg is collected in the basket and a new egg should be appearing at the top of the window as soon as we catch one egg in the basket. So let's implement that. So what I'm going to do is if basket dot collide rect of egg, I am gonna say x of 0 equal to create egg. So what this collide rect method does is it checks if two rectangles are colliding with each other. If so, it returns true, else it returns false. So what's happening is as soon as the egg touches this basket like this, the collide rect method will identify that there is a collision between these two rectangles and it will return as true. As soon as the method returns true, I'm gonna say x of 0 equal to create egg. So there is always going to be only one egg in the list. When I say x of 0 equal to create egg, it is going to create a new egg at the top of the window with a random x position. Now let's see how this works. So now if I bring the basket towards the egg, as soon as it collides, a new egg will be created at the top of the window and it will work as usual. It falls from top to bottom. Cool, this is working. Now we also want to add the scoring system. So each time we catch the egg in the basket, we need to increase the score by 1 and we need to display the score at the top right corner. So I am gonna say score equal to 0 and each time we have a collision of the egg with the basket, I am going to increase the score by 1. So score plus equal to 1. Now we need to display this and this is how it's done. So I'm going to say font equal to pyname.font of none, 36. So this will create a font with a size 36, and we need to create the text for this. So I'm going to say core text equal to font dot render f score, the actual score, true, and I'm going to give it a color of green, and I need to define what green color is. So I'm going to say green. It is RGB, so G plus is going to be 255, R, G and B. Okay, and this true parameter is anti-aliasing, which is used to get a smoother text. Okay, now we need to draw this text in the window. We can do that by saying window.belit score text, and we need to give the x position and y position of this text. So I'm gonna say width minus 150 means it is going to be a distance of 150 from the right side of the window, and I'm going to give it a y value of 10, means it will be 10 positions down from the top of the window. Okay, now let's run this and see how it looks like. Now you see the score on the top right corner with the green color, and as soon as I catch an egg, the score is increasing by 1. It's working fine. Now, the last thing, if we drop an egg, nothing happening in this window. Dropping an egg means it is a game over and the game should end. So let's implement that. After we check the collation, if the egg.y position is greater than the height, means the egg has gone past the bottom of the window, we need to set the running as false to end this loop. Now let's see how this works. So I'm gonna run it. If I catch an egg, the score increases by 1, and if I leave an egg, the game should end and the program should close. Yes, it's working fine. Now let's also display the game over screen. Okay, I have created the game over screen, which is implemented exactly like how I implemented this core text. So what I have done is I have created another font with a size of 72, and as soon as the loop ends, I filled the window with black color, and I created two texts, one saying game over with red color and other displaying my final score with blue color. And I have also define the red color and blue color at the top in this color section, and I rendered all the changes I made, and I have given it a wait time of 5000, which is equal to 5 seconds. So what happens is, as soon as this loop ends, it is going to display all this and it is going to hold it for 5 seconds and then it is going to quit. So let's see how it looks like. So I'm going to catch an egg, my score should increase by 1, and if I leave the egg, it should pop up the game over window with final score 1, like this, and it is going to be there for 5 seconds and then it is going to quit. Okay, everything works fine now, and this is all about the game. Now let's implement reinforcement learning on this game. Okay, I'm gonna stop here, and in the next video I will teach you how to define the action states, how to create the agent, and I will teach you all the concepts by implementing them one by one on this game.